Hey y'all, John Pipeline here. So something that's always comes up during any discussion about Quickplay has been the map selection screen. Because a lot of people say that's like the best thing that came out of Meet Your Match, apparently. But I disagree. So I actually have bullet points this time. I can actually stay focused. So let's just go down the list. So let me explain to you how casual works now versus how Quickplay used to work. As you might know, casual by default, every core game mode is selected and you have the option to unselect them at will at any time. So you are purposefully culling yourself from the matchmaker, putting you into those specific maps. And once you decided what maps you want to play, or you just boot up the game and just press find a game, you just wait until the matchmaker spits you out into a game, and it just does the work for you. Now, the time could vary depending on which maps you queue for. I would know. But generally, if it's a very popular map like Upward, Badwater, Two Fort, Dust Bowl, you will generally get into a game pretty quickly. At least from the recent update that we had that fixed queue times, allegedly. But before the Meet Your Match update, you had Quickplay, where you didn't have map selection, but you did have game mode selection, and that was the major difference, at least from what I feel, between Quickplay and current casual, where you were able to select a game mode like payload race and it would just find you a server just like that. Or if you were very particular about the map that you wanted to play, you always had that show servers option, and it would pull up all the servers running that game mode, and you would just scroll through the list and find whichever game you wanted. If you wanted to join a 6 out of 24 server, go right ahead. If you want to join a 23 out of 24 server, go right ahead. You had that player agency. Everyone had that player agency at the time. Versus nowadays, where you're forced to interact with the casual matchmaking system, and you're just left in the dark as far as, okay, what servers am I going to be put into? Because right now, it does not give you the option to show what servers are available for what maps that you want to play. And I know what people are going to say. You could look at the little green bars that supposedly indicate how many people are playing for that map. But honestly, I think it indicates how many people are queuing for it, not actually playing in the servers. Because I've seen plenty of times where maps like Granary or Gravel Pit or obviously Pipeline or Nightfall, they have like green or brown bars, but if I try to find any games for them, no dice. Or better yet, if I try to find a hacksaw game, one of the least played maps in the game, if I had to bet, you're gonna wait about, let's see, 20 hours for a hacksaw game. Now, I get it. It's fun to make fun of bad maps like hacksaw, but at the same time, I would like people to have the option to play the map instead of having to wait that long just to get into a map. You know what I'm saying? Which brings me to my first point. I would argue the casual matchmaker that we have right now only prioritizes popular maps rather than incentivizing the map variety that we used to have during Quickplay. So I'm not aware how many people know who Megascatterbomb is. Bot Crisis anti-cheat guy before Valve got off their ass and actually fixed the problem. Somewhat. But he had a survey back in 2025 where he surveyed people based on their opinion on casual versus Quickplay. Now, I'll link the survey in the description just so y'all can look through the data yourself. But what I took out of it is, out of 3,000 people that were asked what game modes they queue for, only 44% of them queue for alternative game modes. Now, that may seem like a lot because 1,300 people isn't anything to scoff at, but at the same time, the survey also states where the same respondents were asked how many maps they have selected at a time. The median range of someone's map selection is between 25 and 49. So that's assuming they have multiple maps selected in multiple game modes, not only alternative game modes. How likely is it for someone to have a map selected like Pipeline, Doomsday, any of those alternative game mode maps, or any of the less popular maps like Yukon or Stand-In? What are the chances that they're selected versus the 100+ maps that we have right now? And I'm not completely sure about that data either, because it was never mentioned in the survey. Like, they never had an option to say what maps specifically were selected in the questionnaire, in the survey. I mean, it would be nice to have that data, but it's just something I would like to know. But anyways, the survey also confirms that Payload is one of the most popular game modes in the game, by far. And it's not hard to see why, because you often get a lot of playtime because everything's regulated by the speed of the cart rather than how fast the enemy team can just blitz through you to win the game. But my main point is there's a very heavy bias towards certain maps, and it's incentivized very heavily because you can select your maps. Like I said earlier, you are purposefully culling yourself from the player traffic of the game because Quickplay gave you the option of which game mode you wanted to play. Doesn't matter what map it was. As long as it was King of the Hill or Capture the Flag, if you selected that, it would put you into a map that matched that game mode. Now, it didn't mean you had to stay. Like, if you did not want to play well that day, you were more than happy to just leave the server and find another one. And you had the ability to do so because of the show servers option. Like, I keep beating this drum, but that show servers option was goated. But honestly, if we implemented something from like Team Fortress 2 Classified, that server browser is also really good. If we actually installed that into main TF2, I think you would see resurgence of some kind. But I'm getting ahead of myself. To get back on track here, the point I'm getting at is casual does not incentivize map variety. That's why you see all these new maps that come in every year, every update, and they're instantly dead unless it gets really popular. But most of them just die off almost like 2 weeks from the update. But I would think something like Quickplay would allow more map variety, especially for the newer maps, because the player traffic would come through people queuing for, or lack of a better term, queuing, quote unquote, for a specific game mode instead of queuing for only specific maps. And it would also help people discover old maps or new maps. It would help people actually play these kinds of maps instead of having to depend on map knowledge, because the main way you get map knowledge is actually playing the maps. And the only way you know you dislike a map is actually playing it too. Because I get so many comments saying that they never knew what Pipeline was before either they played it on like Team Fortress 2 Classified or my servers, or even just seeing my vids like, oh, this is Team Fortress 2? I didn't know this map even existed. This also goes into the whole new player experience, because a lot of people don't know all 100 maps in the game, 120 something maps in the game right now. Like, I don't think new people know what Blowout is, or Emerge, Conifer, Demolition, Forteza. I don't think anyone knows what those maps are unless they follow TF2 really closely or, watch other people play it. Like, think about the map bloat problem that we have right now. Would it really be an issue if we queued for separate game modes instead of having to deal with a gigantica list of maps? Like, I would argue having a game mode selection screen would help the new player experience way better than having, like I said, a huge list of maps that they don't know right off the bat unless it's like really popular. Like, oh, I know what a Dust Bowl is. Oh, I know what a Two Fort is. What's Demolition again? Like, this isn't a new player problem either. This is like a veteran problem as well, because we get slammed with so many maps into the game, and it does not give people enough time to process them. Back in the day, a major update would be one map, and people would just love it and enjoy it, and if they didn't, they always had other maps to play. But now that we have like 120 maps in the game, it's just going to be overstimulating for people. But the main rule of thumb is people flock to what they already know. And that's kind of the core issue right now, because a lot of people aren't willing to go out of their way to play any of these newer maps past the update season, or any of the older maps that they may or may not know even exist in the game, because casual mode does not incentivize them to do so. They have the full capacity to just deselect everything besides like Upboard, Badwater, any of the maps that they usually play, and just avoid everything else. And that's why you have these kind of queue times where people wait for a Granary game, or Fast Lane, or Pipeline, Doomsday, any of these older maps, or even like the newer maps like Sidewinder, Gavel, Abbey, any of these recent maps. No one's really incentivized to experiment and play on these kinds of maps, because you could easily just deselect everything and just play what you know, versus how Quickplay used to do it, where you just had the game mode that you want to play. If you want to play it, go for it. It would just pick a random map, random server. It would just put you into a game. And if you didn't like that map, you always had the option to just pick another server. That was the magic of it. Everyone had the agency to just pick whatever games they wanted, whichever cliques they wanted to be with, and Just play the game. Meanwhile, matchmaking today just feels more decentralized, and you don't really get that community kind of aspect. Which also brings me to my next point, where Meet Your Match killed off all the community servers. It just has to be said. It killed them. And no, Skyle or Black Wonder or UGC, they don't count because they're server networks and they're just not as good as classic community servers were back in the day, where it was privately run and the server settings were way better. It just matched Valve's old Quickplay set. Because not only did we have a legion of Valve servers, which had the excellent Quickplay era rule set, which had, the 45-minute timer, team scramble, auto scramble, all the works. Not only did we have those to bolster up Quickplay, but we also have community servers, which ran custom maps, custom game modes, basically whatever you wanted to run, you could run it. Like back in the day, you would see plenty of people playing on Pipeline servers, Doomsday servers. Hell, people ran plenty of custom maps too. Like Pier was a staple for community maps back in the day, as well as Bagel. Cliffhanger's also a really fun one. Mineshaft. That Mineshaft is also really fun. Oh, also Fulgur. Fulgur was a community server map before it got added as well. Even like Rocktop, that's a really popular one that hasn't been added yet. And you also get like a bunch of these 2-Fort reskins, redesigns. Like there was plenty of custom content you could go to. Like people got to experience all these custom maps at their own fruition, as long as they selected, if they wanted to join quote-unquote non-vanilla servers whenever they wanted. And all this experimenting and this lifeblood for community servers died off in Meet Your Match. It died off with the implementation of casual mode, and it's a really sad thing to see. But to get back on track, Valve also gave the option to disable searching for those kinds of servers because, people complained, but I don't blame them, because if you just want to play the vanilla game, Valve servers were the way to go. But Valve running that kind of rule set incentivized the come and go as you please type of culture that we had back in the day, versus now where you're kind of disincentivized from coming and going as you please unless you just rage quit the game, Or at least Valve tries to incentivize people from not leaving all the time, but obviously if you see a role, you're just going to leave the server. Unfortunately. And people do that because they know that the server's not going to last long and it's just going to reset on the dot after the game ends, depending on if there's best of 3 or it's done afterwards, But with a 45-minute map timer, it meant longer server sessions and less people leaving the game because they knew if the map was about to change, they knew that there's going to be another 45-minute game on a different map. And if they didn't like that map, they could always switch to another game that was also running a 45-minute map timer, which also had the option to extend it via a map vote. Wow, I'm starting to sound like a zesty. What can I say? If the guy's right, the guy's right. You can say whatever about his character, but is he wrong? Anyway, small tangent time where I get to explain to you why the map vote freaking sucks. Here's the thing, right? The map vote only appears right at the end of the game, where the Tobuscus doors just shut on you saying, game over, get the fuck out, we're done here. But, a few seconds later, the map vote shows up and, you could pick between 2 random maps and then the current map you already played. First of all, why give us the option to extend the map if you're just going to reset the server anyway? When if we wanted to, we could just vote like 5 or 2 minutes before the map ends to either extend the map or just switch to a different map like Native Vote does. Like that server plugin is great. It should just be default TF2, but Valve is always slow to change. But like I said, there's no point in asking us to extend the map when you're literally just going to reset the server anyway, and the Tobuscus doors are literally just a symbolic gesture to say game's over, get out. That kind of messaging does not tell the player that, oh, you could stay and wait for the map to come back, unless everyone votes for the map that you didn't want to play. So oh well, I guess you're gonna re-queue, which I feel a lot of people have been trained to do that because it's just faster to find a game that way versus just waiting for the map to reset. Like, why wait around when you know you're gonna lose and the map's gonna reset and you have to wait through the end of the game vote, the pre-round timer, just those extra minutes just add up and no one's going to wait through that. They just want to get into a game right then and there. So you often get groups that just server hop, and a lot of these groups are like, 3, 4, 5, 6 players, And as soon as they leave, the server is pretty much dead because that just deletes half the server right there for some maps. And let me remind you, abandonment penalties. They were implemented back in Meet Your Match day 1. And then day 2, they were removed because they were that bad. It just de-incentivized the whole come and go as you please culture, as I said before, where you're basically punished from leaving whenever you want. You had to wait until the game was over. Else, you would have been slapped with a game ban, like a temporary game ban where you weren't able to queue for so many minutes. I'm just using game ban very loosely here, but you get the point. Luckily, it was removed after 1 day of it being implemented, but still, it hit a chord with the core audience where Valve was saying, hey, we're an esport now. We only care about winners and losers. There's no come and go as you please. It's only you win or you lose. You play until the server says, hey, game's over. Queue for another one. Oh, and by the way, Steam servers were available in the server browser. Any Valve server you could easily just ad hoc connect to at any time back in Quickplay. It's all about enabling player agency because casual mode does not enable player agency as people think it does. Like, sure, you can select whatever maps you want to play, but at the same time, it de-incentivizes the traffic that would go to any of those less popular maps. Like, it doesn't even have to be the alternative game modes. Like, take King of the Hill, for example. When was the last time you played anything but, like, Harvest? Have you ever played Lakeside in a while, or Badlands? High Pass? Even Con King? I know Con King's pretty popular, but I feel like a lot of people don't really play anything besides, like, Suijin or Harvest. At least that's what I've experienced. The point is, selecting only game mode felt like it incentivized more map experimenting, more map variety. And it helped out with player traffic because if people just were clicking play now on King of the Hill, they would just be put into a King of the Hill server and they would fill up pretty quick just depending on, you know, how many people are queuing for that game mode for that time. But usually it's a lot of people. And I see some people that say, oh, what about the 23 out of 24 player problem? Or, oh, the 1 out of 24 player problem. Here's the thing, right? If we had Quickplay, which was not a matchmaker, by the way, it was a server coordinator, and the Play Now button was basically random server, random map, put you in game. It did not take into account like skill level or whatever MMR you had. It was just dump you into a game as quick as possible. That's in the name, Quick Play. And as far as filling up servers go, with that system, it's pretty easy just to seed a server. Like if you see an empty server, more likely than not, if you join it, more people are going to join it, seeing like, oh, people are in the game, therefore let's join in on it. Assuming they're using the show servers option. Like if you don't believe me, just go into Team Fortress 2 Classified. You can instantly go through the server browser and find any server, and you'll see players on it. That's how easy it was. Now, I've seen some comments saying, well, what if no one wants to play on those maps?
Dude, no one plays Pipeline because no one wants to play Pipeline. I'm sorry. That's just how it is.
Here's the thing, right? How do people know they don't want to play on the maps if they never even interacted with them in the first place? Because, like I said, there's often times where people don't even know these maps exist until it's featured in a video or something. It's like, what is this map? But even then, that's also assuming that people have experienced it at peak performance, I would say. Like, you know, not imbalanced teams or having enough time to learn the map properly, because you don't normally get a lot of time in casual mode, because a lot of it is either best of 3 or as soon as points capped, game over, back to the queue. And you often get games that last literally less than 10 minutes. It's ridiculous. But even then, I would argue that people should be allowed to have the agency to play the map that they want, even if it's not popular, even if it's Pipeline or Doomsday or, you know, Embargo or Demolition. They should be allowed to play whatever they want at any time. Now, to the people that defend casual mode and say we should keep map selection because it gives us variety, how does it do that? Because like I said earlier in the video, you are culling yourself from player traffic for those maps and therefore degrading the experience for those maps in particular. And if map variety is really what you want, then why don't you have every map selected then? Just go full random, see what happens. Oh, but you get plenty of people that go, oh, I don't want to play Pipeline or Nightfall or Harp or Gold Rush. Those are bad maps. We don't ever want to play those. But here's the thing, right? You always had the option to not play those maps. You always had the option to choose whatever server you wanted to play on and go from there. No one's asking you to stay. But if you do want to stay, at least you're participating in the game. At least you're filling a slot, dude. Because that's the problem right now. There's not enough slots to go around, apparently, where we get games that fill up to like 3v2, 5v4, 6v6. Like, this is the 12v12 game. Where's all the players? Come on, matchmaker system. You could do it. Come on. Like I said before, this game does not need a matchmaker. It does not need MMR placements or skill level requirements. All it needs is to put people into servers, and it'll naturally balance out from there. And I know I've said before that if we did have map selection, I would rather put it in as like an advanced option, like how Quickplay used to put, random crits, random bullet spread, 24-man server, 36-man server, any of those options as like a separate option. But now that I think about it, I don't think it would be a good thing anyway, because it would just still enable the same issue where people would just tell people, hey, if you don't like that map, just deselect it, and then it would just kill traffic for that map. But anyways, if you feel like I missed anything, feel free to let me know in the comments. Yeah, I'm doing the YouTuber bit. Let me know in the comments, like and subscribe, But seriously, I'm open to any discussion, and if you feel like I'm wrong, just feel free to let me know and we could talk about it. I'm open to anything. Feel free to join my Discord, pipeline.tf, play on my servers. It's always open, it's always online 24/7, so it's just vanilla TF2, just as it used to be. And I'll see y'all next video. Love y'all. Take care.